we've had a couple of nice days here. I was working on the porch project there. I went and welded up those extensions onto the porch for the design change on it. I got those on there, welded up on there yesterday, and then today took advantage of another sunny day and cleaned them up and put some Seal on them, which is rust conversion. It's just a protectant, and we'll paint over them later, but I wanted to get them protected because this is supposed to be the last good day we have for a while again. We've had some pretty crappy weather. I spent the few days before that working on getting my blades teeth set for the kerf set on the blades that I had. I decided I needed to do that on those blades because they were getting kind of, some of them were pretty well worn. They were pretty well sharpened, but I got that done, and I had some more time here. I decided not to waste a good day outside here, so I thought I'd come and work on this sawmill a little bit again. I got the guide rollers all fixed up and everything. I worked on that for a while, and then I noticed that my main drive belts were pretty bad shape, so I got a new drive belt for that. Those drive belts are a double belt instead of two single belts, so they don't tighten up as tight as the original belts did, the two single belts did. So the belt that I had on there to run the hydraulics didn't fit on there anymore. It was too short. I got one of these segmented belts. Well, the drive pulley on that, on the output shaft on that motor, is 5/8 inch grooves on there on the pulley for 5/8 inch belts. But the drive pulley on the hydraulic pump is only, well, I guess it's 1/2 inch. I thought it was 3/8 inch. I couldn't remember exactly what was what, so I ordered this segmented belt, and I got a 3/8 inch belt. I needed it for the hydraulic tension on the blade tension, so I could run those blades around there while I check my guide rollers and make sure that they were set right. And then I wanted to run the blades around and grind the burrs off the back of the blades. So I needed the hydraulic pump operating. Well, this pulley, this belt here fit on there, and it worked for tensioning the blade. But when I went to start to raise the carriage up, the mill head up to get it up high enough to get underneath it to work on it, well, the belt was slipping. This didn't work. So I went ahead and ordered another section, and I got some of this. This is 1/2 inch stuff instead of the 3/8. And I just put it on there. Actually, I bought a regular belt. I just took a wild ass guess and ordered a length of belt because it was only $5 for the belt, and thought I'd try that on there, and that didn't work. It was too long. So anyway, I've got this segmented belt. This is 1/2 inch. And it was a little more expensive than the 3/8, but I got this green stuff, and I think it was less expensive than the red stuff. I don't know why. Anyway, I just put that on there and got everything all set up again, and I thought I'd run it and see how it worked. I wasn't planning on doing any milling. I just thought I'd check and see that work, but I've got this log on here that I made a cant out of that I was going to mill up for the timbers for the porch project there. And I've got it sitting there. It's all set up as a cant right now, and it's equal on all sides. I think it's 18 inches square, but this one face here, this one end here on the top end of it, the high end, the tall end, the top end away from the butt end, still has some wane on both edges there. Now I could go ahead and take a slab off of there on this side the way it's sitting, and I could get most of the wane off of there, but there'd still be wane on that face. But if I turn that 90 degrees and take a couple of 1-inch boards or a 2-inch plank off of that on the face that's facing us now, then that'll get almost all of the wane off of that. Now ordinarily the wane like that wouldn't make much difference on a structural member or anything, but the one member underneath there, for the physical attachment of the parts that are going to make up the roof, it needs to be almost no wane on it at all. And then a lot of the pieces that I'm going to make are going to be exposed, so I want those pretty clean. So I have to turn that, flip that over once 90 degrees, and I don't know whether I want to do that or not. I don't really want to try that by hand. Things are getting too big for me to manhandle anymore, so I don't know whether I want to get my machine set up for that or not. Well, anyway, I'm going to check the mill out first here and see how that's going to work. Make sure that belt doesn't slip when I put pressure on hydraulics on there. Okay, that seems to work really good. I didn't run it up at full power or anything, but I did put the blade tension piston, I put pressure on that. Then I run it up and down and it didn't slip any at all. So I engaged it in the travel, and while it was traveling, I run it up and down, which you're not really supposed to do that. Anyway, it worked fine. The belt didn't slip at all that way. Well, I've got one more thing to do to tune this thing up and make it good, and that's to change that drive chain that drives the carriage forward and back, that runs it forward and back. We got a beautiful day today. It's supposed to be this way for the next week or so. Nice bright clear skies and sunshine. Problem is, it's pretty doggone cold. It got down to about 18 or less last night, and only 34 today. It's warm enough, it's melting the snow and the ice here in the sunshine, but it's still cold in the shadows, and it's supposed to be that way for the next few days. It's about too cold for me to work on anything much. I got the ball joint press for the truck, so I'll probably press those ball joints out of there and then clean those up, work on that a little bit until I get too cold. But one of the things that I did do is I got some new drive chain for this sawmill. One of the problems I've been having with the sawmill has been kind of an irritation more than anything that would stop it, is that this chain has got some sections in it that are froze up, or nearly froze up, and it hangs up on them as it moves, and you have to kind of fiddle with it a little bit. The mill should be inside, should be under cover. I've been intending to move it all this time, move it someplace else, and it's just been temporary here. Been temporary here for 20 years now, almost. When I put it here, it was just right on the edge of the driveway. There was a big ditch right here where the inside rail, or this side rail of the mill is. It was a big ditch here that was about 2 foot deep. And then there was a big embankment and a hill that went up right here all the way back. And over the last 20 years, I've gradually taken that hill back, cleaned that up, leveled it out, and filled this ditch in, put some drain rock and drain pipe in and stuff here, and then I reset this mill up on some timbers to get it leveled up and whatnot. Well, I've got a cover over the main mill body, the carriage, that kind of keeps the most of the stuff off of it. It should be under a better cover, but all of this main bed out here is exposed, and somebody was using the mill a little bit and they didn't clean it off. That chain lays right on the top of that one channel iron beam on this one side, builds up there, and somebody didn't clean it off very good, and of course moisture builds up there and stuff, and so it's got that chain links tight on that in a couple of spots. So I've been working on the mill here all winter. I got my guide rollers redone, and I got new belts put on it, got that all set up. Last year I did some work on the engine. I got a new carburetor put on it. Cheaper to buy a new carburetor than to rebuild one with these new Chinese carburetors you can get. Actually, I got a kit for that old carburetor, but it was cheaper to buy a new carburetor and stick it on there than it was to fool with the old one. Well, anyway, that's on there. The mill is running pretty good now, except for this chain. There's one other problem I've got with it on the hydraulics. I changed those valves. They're electric over hydraulic valves. Electric controls the hydraulics. And I changed those valves because I was sticking a little bit. They were sticking a little bit. And the one that was the worst is the ram that raises and lowers the carriage there for the depth of cut. Now that one, when we'd start running it and it'd get hot, it would start sticking and it wouldn't go up or down. Well, I got new valves for it, for both of them. And that seemed to fix the problem at first, but then after a while, after I started running the mill and get it warmed up, then I've still got the same problem with it. Well, on that one, to raise and lower that cylinder, there's a check valve in there behind the main control valve, and that holds the hydraulic pressure on the cylinder. When you set it to a certain height, that valve locks the hydraulic fluid from flowing back out or into it or something. So I guess that's what the problem is. I'm not a hydraulic guy and I don't know much about it, but I guess that's what the problem is. So I've still got that problem to contend with, but the other problem was this chain. Well, anyway, I got some chain that I bought a few years ago. I actually changed this chain over, and this was new chain about 7 or 8, 10 years ago, something like that, maybe longer ago than that now, I don't know. When I bought a whole roll of it, I should have enough in there in the shop someplace to replace this, but of course I couldn't find it. And since this is out in the weather, I got to thinking about it. I see that there's stainless steel chain available. So I got to looking the other day and I did some searching on it. And I found some stainless steel chain. What is this? Number 40 chain. And that comes in 10-foot lengths. And usually what I could see, a 10-foot length of stainless steel chain and the number 40 is about $600 to $1,000. I found some on eBay where I got 3 10-foot lengths of it for $100, so I ordered that. That came today. Now the problem with this is that the chain comes in 10-foot lengths, so this chain is, I think it's about 25 feet long, so it's going to take 2.5 lengths of the chain to do this. This bed is supposed to cut a 20-foot log, and then you've got the extra end of it down there that's about 4 feet or so extra on there where the carriage goes when you load a log. So anyway, I had to buy 3 lengths of chain. Well, of course, now that's one of the problems is I got 3 10-foot lengths, but I don't have a tool for busting the chain break tool. I ordered that, and that hasn't got here yet. I just looked it up, and it got sent, and it went to Kent, Washington, where the distribution center is to send the mail up here to Petersburg, and now it's over in Moses Lake or Wenatchee or someplace like that. So it's going to go on a roundabout, a walkabout before it gets here. But anyway, it's a nice day, so I thought I'd go ahead and fiddle with this a little bit. So the chain hooks in down at the other end with a link down there, goes underneath the rollers on the mill, and then up over the drive motor, and then down underneath a couple of other rollers, and then down to this end, and then there's a bolt down on this end that's an adjustment. The chain hooks into it with just a regular link, and that bolt adjusts the tension on the chain. So the first thing I'm going to do, I guess, is go ahead and loosen this chain up here to where I can get it loose and get those links out of it. And we'll see how far we go from there. Cool. No, you guys come back here. Girls?
Girls, get in here.
Okay, this lock bolt on this is so tight up against that chain that it was tight there on that link, so it wouldn't come loose. I have to see if I can do something about that. I'll move that lock bolt. I'll have to take it out of there to do that. Get that chain out of there. That chain is pretty doggone stiff. Alright, that's it. That's a lot better than the one that came off of there. I need to take this bolt out of there, this adjustment bolt out of there, and fix that so that I can get that link out of there. And then I got to decide what I'm going to do. I could take this chain and go ahead and just grind those rivets off with a Dremel tool or something and get that fixed, get that working. Maybe I'll do that. But I've got to take that bolt out of there and set that nut on that bolt. I can't do that out here because the only way I have to hang on to that is with the wrench. Well, I'm going to take it in, put it in the vise, turn that bolt, that lock bolt or the inside bolt, in a little bit so I can get that link out of there, and then I'll see if I can find my Dremel. Fix that. Now this is what I've got here for adjusting that chain. It's just a bolt. The head has been, maybe it was a square-headed bolt to begin with, I don't know. But it's been machined down square with a hole drilled in it. So the pin for that chain goes through there. The chain just hooks onto that. And then this fits through a hole in the end plate of that sawmill. And we got another bolt on here that pulls this tight. And we have to have something to hold onto there to hold this from turning, so it's got a nut on there. Well, that nut has backed in to where it interferes with that chain movement there. So I've got to take that in and put it in the vise so that I can loosen that nut up. And of course that bolt sticks out quite a ways from the end of that mill, the plate, and it got bent. I was able to unbend it with a wrench on it enough to get the nut off of it, so that worked out okay. Well, I went ahead and fixed that chain up. Like I said, I had 3 lengths of it and I coupled them together. I just got the grinder and trimmed off the rivets and then knocked the pin out of there to the right length, and I put that bolt back in there, tightened that up. That chain is adjusted right now. I'll go ahead and start it up and see how it works. So the weather's supposed to be nice for the next few days. It's too damn cold to be doing any wrenching on the truck, at least for most of the day. Well, everything else is all set up on the mill. I've got the guide rollers all set up and the belts all set up on it. And I've got my blades, 2 set on them. They're all sharpened up and the teeth set on them and they're ready to go. Well, I might as well be doing some milling. It's not as bad to work on the mill when it's cold like this as it is to work on the truck. Anyway, we'll see how that works. Flip that log over, that cant over, and maybe start milling up some timbers. Well, everything's all together on the mill now and it should be working pretty good. Got the Bobcat out this morning and this afternoon. I was cold and hell this morning and I didn't want to work out here, so warmed up now with the sun out. Anyway, I flipped that log over 90 degrees and I've got one of my freshly tuned up blades on the mill. I want to go ahead and see if I can't mill up some timbers. going to go take some measurements. I think those timbers up there are 8 inches. They're 8 by 2.5, I think. I want that outside timber on that extension that I just put on there to be 6 inches thick, 6 inches wide. I'll go make sure the thickness is what I think it is. I just confirmed it. Those timbers up there, the floor joists up there, are 8 inches by 2.5 inches. So this cant now is 16.5 inches deep. Oh, I had to figure out whether I'm going to make these a 6-inch cant off of this and cut the 8-inch off of that, or make this. I think I'm going to go ahead and make it 8 inches, and then I got to make some more floor joists out of it. I think that's what I'm going to do. Well, it's warm out here and the sun shined down today. God, it was 20 degrees this morning and cold. Everything was froze up tight. It took a while to get warmed up, but now it's 40 degrees or better, so. There's an 8-inch cant. 8-inch by 18.5. Boy, that's a... Now we get to the fun part. Oh, shoot. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, crying out loud. Oh, right. Okay. needed that 6x8. That timber goes out on the end of those steel beams, and that'll support the uprights for the porch roof. And then I needed one more 2.5x8 to go in to sandwich another one. And then I just went ahead and cut 4 more of them just because I've got them there, and I can always use those on the porch extension when I extend the porch out past the rest of the house there. Well, anyway, I've got 5 2.5x8s and 1 6x8. That's enough for today. Get those put out of the way, and I'll put that other cant on there. And then that other cant, I'll break it down to 6-inch material. There'll be some 6x6s and some 4x6s out of it. We'll see what I can get out of it. But